guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to a very special video. So on Instagram a while ago, I mentioned that I was going to be releasing something kind of special for Planning to Prosper, and that is an official budgeting method. This is a very intimidating situation right now because by no means am I claiming to be a financial expert in any way, shape, or form. There are a lot of financial gurus out there. One of the most well-known financial gurus is Dave Ramsey. I don't know Dave Ramsey's stance on what I'm about to explain or anything like that. This is just what our family has been doing, and sort of unofficially, this is what we've been doing. And so I really wanted to put a name to this process, and I wanted to create worksheets and tools that you guys could use if you want to use a similar budget method to what we are using. So this is the same budget method that we used to get out of debt, that we use to manage our finances, to help us set goals. I've touched on this a little tiny bit, I believe, in previous budget videos, but we've always had a goal of living off of a certain percentage of our income on a monthly basis. We've always paid really close attention to our percentages. In addition to that, we also use the current month's income to pay the next month's bills. So we are currently 1 month ahead as well. And I want to talk a little bit about what led to all of this. So I am currently on this kick of wanting to simplify my life as much as possible. So part of that was kind of taking the thought process out of budgeting a little bit more. So very recently, I decided to stop using a bajillion separate sinking funds. I know that works for a ton of people, but for me, I started to get really annoyed with tracking all these little tiny accounts every single month, and it's something we never stuck to in the past, and I think it's honestly because it was just too tedious for us. And again, I know for some people it's not at all, and it works great. And here's the whole bottom line, you guys, and I preach this all the time, but you have to do what works best for your family. So my budget method might sound totally ridiculous to you guys. You're like, why would you do that? That sounds really complicated. I don't like that. This is just the way that my brain works, and I know there are others out there whose brain might enjoy this budget method as well. So I'm trying to simplify things as much as I possibly can, and to me, the Prosper budget method was my solution to that. So first, before I dive into the different worksheets and things like that, I want to go through a step-by-step process of what the Prosper budget method entails, because there is a step-by-step process. So I'm going to take some lined paper, and we're just gonna go ahead and drag that over here just so that I'm not writing all over the place. And I will go ahead and zoom in for you guys. So as far as what the Prosper budget method entails, so we have, and sorry, Andrew's doing the dishes out there, so you guys can probably hear the garbage disposal going. So Prosper budget method. There are a few steps to take that align a bit with, what we've done. So the first step is to get current. That is always what I recommend doing, really, no matter what your method of choice is. You should always be current. So if you're currently behind on your bills or anything like that, you want to get caught up. That's where every single penny of your money should be going, is getting caught up on your bills. The second step is going to be to get 1 month ahead. And there is a reason for this. So for me, getting 1 month ahead has saved me so much headache. I personally like to know things right away. I don't like to try to predict things a whole ton or anything like that, especially with variable income, which our income is very variable. And that is because I do work full time and I have a salary, but a portion of our income also comes from my business, which is completely unpredictable. So I know at the very beginning of the month, to the penny, exactly what we are working with for our income for that month. And I do have a way, like a worksheet that you can use to figure out how to get 1 month ahead, what amount of money you would need. But basically what you would do, your current, say you're working on building up your emergency fund, or you're working on paying off debt, or whatever your big goal is. I always recommend having a little baby emergency fund at the very least before you do anything. That's something I do agree with Dave Ramsey on. $1,000, meh, I have some thoughts on that. I feel like it should be more, especially if you have a family. But regardless, if you're trying to get like a big emergency fund, whatever your big goals are, you know, getting out of debt, whatever, you want to pause that for now, just very temporarily, and get 1 month ahead. So all the money, extra money you were putting towards your debt or towards your savings, things like that, you're gonna put it off to the side and build it up to become 1 month ahead. And all you really need to be 1 month ahead is enough to pay your expenses. So I'll show you that worksheet here in just a moment and explain that process in more detail. Once you're a month ahead, you want to figure out your budget percentages. What is going to be realistic for you? So when we were first starting out, when Andrew and I first started dating, we first started, you know, figuring out our family budget, things like that, what we do now would not have been realistic. Our expenses were too high, our income was too low. So you need to figure out what is going to be realistic for you. If that means that your goal is, okay, we're going to live off of 85% of our income, like 85% of our income is gonna go towards expenses, and then 15% will go towards our goals or whatever it may be. You want to figure that out, and you figure that out by tracking your spending, knowing exactly what your monthly expenses are, which your 1 month ahead does help with, especially compared to your income. And if you're a little too close, your expenses match your income or they exceed your income, it's time to get that income up and or get those expenses down. So you're gonna have to make some decisions there. And this is where the bulk of the work of the Prosper Budget method is gonna come into play. But once you have these steps figured out, just these 3 simple steps, it gets easy, you guys. It gets really, really easy. So let me go on over here and I'm gonna show you the different worksheets. And I'll show you the 1 month ahead first. So here's the 1 month ahead sheet. And we'll go through a little example of this together. So 1 month ahead. This little worksheet has a section where you can write out all of your monthly expenses, a section where you can track your deposits and things that go towards that 1 month ahead goal so that you know when you're meeting your goal and everything like that. So let's say we have a mortgage of $1,500. And then we also have electricity. I always, always, always recommend overestimating your expenses. That also helps. And then let's say you've got water and trash. So always round up is my best advice. And we have groceries for $500, and we have gas for $100. We want to put clothes in there maybe for $100. We want to put a little eating out. Just put whatever your expenses are. This isn't bare bones expenses. These are like your expenses. The amount you would need to live the same, well, kind of the same lifestyle unless you decide to make cuts and things like that. So our monthly expenses tend to be around the $4,000 mark each month. It's usually a little less or more than that. So anyways, and then I always recommend putting a buffer in there because as we know, when we set our monthly budgets, sometimes we go over budget. So let's say you want to put $250 is going to be my buffer of what I want to have. So you're going to add all that up. So 1,500 plus 250 plus 100 plus 500 plus another 650, right? Yeah. So $3,000. Our monthly expenses, and obviously that's not all the expenses that most people have, but this is just an example. So $3,000, that's our monthly expenses. And so what we're gonna start doing is every time we get a chance where we're normally putting extra money towards debt or towards savings, whatever it is, say like, okay, it's the first of the month and I had $300 I was gonna put extra towards debt. I'm gonna go ahead and put the $300 towards my 1 month ahead. And then the next paycheck on the 15th, I have $400 from that paycheck that I can put towards the balance, and then you just go kind of so on and so forth. And here you're able to do 500, and then you're able to do another, I should try to make this easy on myself, 250. You do another 500, and then you do another, see, I'm already confusing myself. Oh, 750, right? 1,000, yeah. And now all of a sudden, whoa, you know, we've got our $3,000. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put that $3,000 in your account that you use to pay your bills. And you're gonna leave it there. And you're gonna let it cover all your bills for that month. And when your paychecks come in, those are gonna go somewhere else. Those are going to go into a savings account or some place. It could be another checking account. We personally use a savings account, and we call it income parking. So when I get paid from my full-time job, my paycheck goes straight into that income parking savings account. I don't touch it or anything like that. So all of your expenses are covered with your 1 month ahead here. So any paychecks you earn, anything like that, you are going to put off to the side into your income parking. And then all of your expenses are going to be paid by the end of the month. And at the end of the month, you should have all of your income, and you're going to transfer what was in your income parking to your family checking account, or the account that you use to pay all your bills, on the first of the month, so that at the first of the month, you've got all your income and you're all set to go. So I hope that that makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense. But that's how you get 1 month ahead. You have to have the cash built up and deposited in your checking account that is used to pay your bills, ready to go, so that when your paychecks come in, you don't need the paycheck to stay there to pay the bills because they're covered. You're putting those in a separate spot, you're letting it build and build, and then you're transferring it into that same account on the first of the month, ready to go. I personally recommend separating the accounts. To me, it gets very, very confusing if they are all together. So we have a family checking account that pays all of our bills. Everything comes out of that account. We have a general savings account that we use for all of our like sinking funds type of transactions. We have an emergency fund, and then we have income parking. And the income parking, again, is where all of our paychecks, all of our income from everything goes there throughout the month until it's ready to be used at the start of the next month. So that's what we do. We have, what is that? Well, I have a checking account for my business, but 1 checking account and 3 savings accounts. And for the general savings, because usually there is a limit of how many like deposits you can do and stuff like that, I just kind of figure out exactly what I need to transfer from general savings over to like at the end of the month. But you can also just kind of do like a general savings checking account or something like that. There's ways to work around that. So but that is the 1 month ahead. So once you've done that, now we're going to go ahead, I'm going to clear the page, and we're going to look at the different Prosper budget methods. So I hope you guys are sticking with me here and that this is making sense. I probably should not have filmed this at 9 o'clock at night, but it's the only time I had to do it. So hopefully I'm making sense here. But now that that's done, you're current. You have your 1 month ahead, you're good to go. You're gonna figure out your budget percentages, and I'll share with you guys what ours are, and I'll show you how I put this to use. So I'm gonna pull up my files again, and you're gonna notice, and by the way, all these inserts are now available in April moving forward, all those kits. So they're included automatically. For the April kits, if you've already purchased the April kits, I am working on getting separate listings put up where you can buy the new inserts for just $1. Just $1. Wanted to make it super easy and everything like that. So, and there's a couple other inserts. There's the 1 month ahead, there's a bill tracker, and then we've got all of these different schedules here. So there's an annual version of the Prosper Budget Method, and there's a monthly version of the Prosper Budget Method. The only difference is literally the title of these worksheets. So this is just if you want to figure out your spending on an annual basis, create an annual budget. I'm going to be showing you guys the monthly one. So I'll go over A first, and let me actually just kind of lay these out real quick. And then that way I can close my files and we have more screen space to work with. So I'll do A, B, and we'll do C. And again, the annual is exactly the same with the exception that it says annual budget and rate the year at the bottom. Rate the year, that's it. Other than that, they're exactly the same. So now I can close that and we can take a closer look at these. So this is Schedule A. This is the schedule that Andrew and I like to use. So for the Prosper Budget Method, you'll have a section where you can write in your income. Part of that income should be your 1 month ahead. So for example, for April, we would use our March income and you'll put that in. I also recommend always having a miscellaneous because you just never know if you have like a garage sale or you sell a couple things or you do some babysitting, whatever it is, you would want an area to like, you know, track that. And then you've got your little section here for budget percentages. So for Schedule A, you're splitting up your percentages between expenses, savings, investments, and giving. You do not have to use all four. Let me repeat that. You do not have to use all four. And I'll show you the other schedules and the differences here in just a second because it's basically with the percentages. That's the only difference between the Schedule A, B, and C is the percentages. So we're personally using Schedule A because we are at the point now where we're debt free. We are focusing a lot on our savings at the moment. We're hoping to really start aggressively investing. Giving is a very sensitive area. Some people like to share what they're giving, some people don't. It's a totally private, personal thing. For some people, it's all about like their faith. For other people, it's about giving time or doing acts of service. That is personal to you. I don't want anyone to ever feel guilty too if, you know, your giving is not in any way, shape, or form monetary. It doesn't have to be, in my humble opinion. I think that is between you and God. That's my personal thing. I think God knows your heart. And Andrew and I have always been very giving because that's just what we believe and what we want to practice. But it's not always monetary. So I just want to put that out there. And I know that there are some there's some people that are very, very just strict, I guess you could say, with their viewpoints on those things, but it is personal, you guys, and you've got no judgment. There's no judgment coming from me at all, just so you know. So I just want to make that clear. But so that is why we're using Schedule A. Schedule B, you've got your expenses if you're putting money to debt, savings and investments in one category, and then giving as well. So there's 4 main categories, but still, you know, you've got that addition of debt there. And then for Schedule C, you have expenses, debt, savings, and investments. And there's ways to work around all of these things, you guys. Like, you can always change one of the categories if you want to do, if you're not focusing on investments and you're just doing giving, you can tweak these very, very easily. So just wanted to let you know kind of the differences, but those are the main differences is with the budget percentages, how you're, you know, splitting up the percentage of your monthly income and everything like that. So we have always personally had a goal of living off of 75% of our monthly income or less. And we've always calculated that. It's not something I've shown on my channel, but it's something that we've always looked at and have strive for, and it's always been a goal, is that we've always wanted to, and it's something we teach our daughter and everything like that, is to, you know, have 25% of your income to go towards savings, giving, you know, whatever it may be over there, your financial goals, and then live off 75%. We are now at the point where our percentages are 70% go to expenses. Right now, we are putting 30% towards savings, and that is because we are aggressively saving money for our emergency fund. So we're hoping that our emergency fund gets to at least $25,000 by the end of the year at the very latest. So right now we are pausing investments and giving. That is what we are personally doing, personal choice, all that good stuff. So yeah, our ideal is that eventually we would like to be living off of 60% of our income. That's a huge goal of ours. And then to have 20% go to savings, 10% go to investments, and 10% go to giving. That is what we're really hoping for. If we could get this down to 50%, oh my word, that would be amazing. So that's kind of what we're doing. And here's the thing, you guys. I wanted a way, and I've had multiple conversations with a good friend of mine about this. We've always kind of struggled figuring out how we want to prioritize things. So when you have a lot of different sinking funds and you're wanting to save up for like a backyard or different things like that, it's just really hard to know, like, where am I putting my pennies? What, like, how do I decide this? And I feel like the budget percentages takes that thought process out. It takes it out. And you just kind of, you know, trust the system, continue to put your 20% into savings, 15% into savings, whatever it is, your 5% into investments. It changes all the time, you guys. If your income goes up, then obviously some of your percentages can adjust. If you want to give yourself more wiggle room, you could always increase your expenses percentage. You can always tweak things later, but this just kind of breaks things down into very simple categories. And I believe Jordan Page from Fun Cheaper Free does a similar system with her budget. I think she uses percentages as well. This is what I'm saying. I mean, there's tons of financial gurus out there, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just whatever works best for you. So I just want to make that very, very clear that you don't have to do what we're doing. Your percentages don't have to look like ours look or anything like that. It's just whatever works for you guys. So if that means that what's important is, okay, we're going to live off of 80, or well, let's do a different schedule. Let's jump over to Schedule C real quick. Let's say you are currently living off 80% of your monthly income for your living expenses. You want to put 10% towards debt, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to put 7% towards savings and 3% towards investments. And you guys, this is not what Dave Ramsey preaches. Dave Ramsey says go all in with the debt and then, you know, do the baby steps, things like this or like that. This allows you to do all of it at the same time. So, and for some people that works better for them, or like they feel more at ease doing that. Like, you know, I don't know if that makes sense, but this is a way to do it all at the same time. You have to do what works best for you. If doing the debt snowball, doing the baby steps, following Dave Ramsey, if that's the way to do it, we followed Dave Ramsey for a good part of our financial journey as well, then do that. Don't do this. But if you want a way where you can kind of, you know, you want to be able to do it all kind of at the same time, I feel like this is a really good way to do that, is to break down the percentages. So that's another example. So how do you calculate the percentages and why? Here, I'll push the undo button. So let's say your income that you're working with one month, you brought in $5,000. We'll just do this for sake of math. So you've transferred your income from the current month over to the next month to use, and that amount is $5,000. So that is what we're working with. You would figure out your percentages by taking a calculator. So $5,000, and then I want 80% of that to go towards expenses. So that's gonna be $4,000. We want 10% of that to go towards our debt. So that means that we're doing an extra $500. And by the way, minimum debt payments, like a car payment, a minimum car payment, that would go into expenses, in my opinion. I feel like the debt would be more of like extra, because you have to pay those bills, right? You have to pay those minimum debt payments. So to me, that would go under expenses, whereas the extra to debt, that's extra. That's what you're putting on top of, you know, like minimum payments and stuff like that. So $500. And then for savings, we want to do 7%. So that gives me $350 that I can put towards savings. So you could split that up among like sinking funds, or you could just do like a general savings account like we do, where we combine all of our sinking funds just into one savings account. It's been a breath of fresh air, let me tell you. And then $5,000, for 3% of $5,000 towards investments. So, and that can be all sorts of things. $150. So I'm gonna put $150 towards my investments. So that gives us $5,000. And you can decide. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go and put in your expenses. You're gonna make sure that your expenses do not exceed $4,000. If it does, you need to adjust your percentage, or you need to somehow cut your expenses, or you can also try to get your income up. So, and then for debt, you can say, okay, cool, that's pretty sweet. I can put $500 extra towards the car this month. Like, that's really awesome. And then for savings, let's say you're saving up for a vacation. You can put $350 towards your vacation. Investments, let's say you've got a Roth that you're putting money towards. We can put $150 towards the Roth this month. And this way, you're not looking at like the total amount of money and just kind of really manually figuring out where to put things. You're going by your percentages. It just takes the thought process out of it. So yeah, and that's pretty much all there is to the Prosper Budget method. I probably made it sound more complicated than it is. I hope I didn't. But like I said, step 1 is to get current. Step 2 is to get 1 month ahead, because that makes the budget percentages really easy, you guys. And this is why I thought of this. When you're 1 month ahead and you know exactly what you're working with at the very start of the month, you don't like, this is good. Like, you're good to go. Whereas if you have no idea, now if you're salary and you know to the penny, like, okay, I know I'm salary, I make, you know, $4,000 every month, that's a little bit different. But especially if your income is variable, I find it very necessary for us to be 1 month ahead. And that's again because I like to know at the very start of the month exactly what I'm working with. It just gives me that extra sense of security. It gives me a lot of clarity, and I just prefer that. So that is kind of why I chose to do the 1 month ahead in hand with the budget percentages, because then you know exactly what you're working with, you know? So figuring out your budget percentages, which sometimes does take trial and error as well. And your overall, your goal should be to, you know, continue to lower your expenses percentages and increase what you've got towards savings or investments or giving, or, you know, whatever is a priority to you, your debt. If you really want to get that done, then maybe you're like, I'm going to figure out a way to decrease this to 75%. I'm gonna cut 5% of my expenses so that I can put 15% towards my debt, you know? So you can kind of tweak things and challenge yourself a little bit and all that good stuff. But I hope that this video was helpful. This is the schedule I'm gonna be using moving forward in my videos. So I wanted to make sure to explain this in more detail before my April budget video went up, so hopefully this will make much more sense. So yeah, that is the Prosper budget method. This is the budget method my family uses. If you want to use it for your family, you are more than welcome to. That's why I created the tools for it. If you think that this is not gonna work for you, then that is totally okay. Totally fine. You have to do what works best for you. So anyways, that is it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to catch all my future videos. Stay tuned for the April budget video coming out this Tuesday, and I will chat with you all later. Bye.